Hello all. Today we are continuing our conversation in chapter 9. We're looking at electrolytes today. Here we go. Electrolytes are essential minerals and ions that carry an electric charge in the body's fluids, including blood and cells. They play a crucial role in maintaining various physiological functions, including nerve function, muscle contractions, pH balance, and fluid balance. The most common electrolytes in the human body are sodium, which helps regulate fluid balance, nerve impulses, and muscle function. We'll talk more about it in just a bit. Potassium, which is crucial for maintaining heart rhythm, nerve function, and muscle contractions. And calcium, which is important for bone health, muscle contractions, and nerve transmission. Magnesium assists in muscle function, enzyme activity, and energy production, while chloride helps balance fluids and maintain blood pressure. Bicarbonate, a major component of the body's acid-base or pH balance system. And phosphate is essential for energy production and bone health. Electrolyte balance is crucial for proper cell function and overall health. Disruptions in electrolyte levels can occur due to factors such as dehydration, certain medical conditions, and medication side effects, and specific diets. Severe electrolyte imbalances can lead to symptoms like muscle cramps, weakness, irregular heartbeats, confusion, and even life-threatening conditions in extreme cases. Electrolytes are often replenished through a balanced diet, and in some cases, electrolyte solutions or supplements may be prescribed to restore imbalances, especially during illness or excessive physical activity that causes sweating. If you suspect an electrolyte imbalance, it's essential to seek medical advice and appropriate treatment. Sodium is an essential nutrient for humans. It helps to regulate blood pressure, blood volume, and nerve function. The recommended daily intake of sodium for adults is 1,500 milligrams. However, most Americans consume much more than this, with the average intake being around 3,400 milligrams or even up to 3,900 milligrams per day. Too much sodium can lead to high blood pressure, which is a major risk factor for heart disease, stroke, and other health problems. Sodium is used in a variety of industrial and household applications. It is used to make soap, glass, and other products. It's also used as a food preservative and flavoring agent. Here's some of the important roles of sodium in the body. Regulating blood pressure. So sodium helps to maintain the balance of fluids in the body. When there is too much sodium in the blood, it can cause the blood vessels to constrict, which can cause raised blood pressure. Regulating blood volume. Sodium helps to maintain the volume of blood in the body. When there is too much sodium in the blood, it can cause the body to retain water, which can increase blood volume. Nerve function. Sodium is essential to nerve function. It helps to transmit nerve impulses throughout the body. Sodium is also essential for muscle contraction. It helps to move the muscles in the body. Sodium is an important nutrient, but it is important to consume the recommended amount. Too much sodium can lead to health problems such as high blood pressure. Sodium is a mineral that is found in many foods. The following are some of the highest sodium food sources. Processed foods such as canned soups, frozen meals, and deli meats are often high in sodium. This is because sodium is used as a preservative and flavoring agent in these foods. Salty snacks such as chips, pretzels, and popcorn, my favorites, are also high in sodium. This is because they are made with salt or other sodium-rich ingredients. Restaurant foods such as pizza, pasta dishes, and sandwiches can also be high in sodium. This is because sodium is often added to these foods during cooking or preparation. Some seasonings such as soy sauce, chili powder, and garlic powder are also high in sodium. It's important to be aware of the sodium content of the seasonings when cooking at home. Some dairy products, such as cheese and milk, are naturally high in sodium. However, the amount of sodium in dairy products can vary depending on the type and brand. Savory snacks include chips, popcorn, pretzels, crackers, and again, other salty snacks. One slice of pizza from one restaurant may have more sodium than a slice of pizza from another restaurant. So if you're trying to limit your sodium intake, it's important to be aware of the sodium content of the foods that you eat. You can also choose to cook at home more often so you can control the amount of sodium that goes into your food. And sodium is distributed widely in nature, but in small amounts in natural foods. It's really in the processed food that we're getting so much salt. 1 teaspoon of table salt contains 2,000 milligrams of sodium. And again, it's the processed foods that contain substantial amounts. So if you can eat the fruits and vegetables and consume less, it's better. You can also use herbs or salt substitutes while you're cooking at home. And this just demonstrates the sodium content of common foods. Daily value, or DV, for sodium is 2,300 milligrams per day for adults and children over the age of 14. The daily value is the amount of nutrient that is considered to be adequate for most healthy people. However, the American Heart Association recommends that adults consume no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. This is because too much sodium can increase blood pressure, which is a major risk for heart disease, stroke, and other health problems. The DV for sodium is based on the amount of sodium that is needed to maintain fluid balance in the body. However, most people do not need to consume as much sodium as the DV. In fact, many people can reduce their sodium intake without any negative health effects. If you are trying to reduce your sodium intake, there are a few things you can do. Read food labels carefully and choose foods that are low in sodium. Cook at home more often and use less salt when cooking. Avoid processed foods, which are often high in sodium, and limit your intake of salty snacks such as chips, pretzels, and popcorn. Use salt-free seasonings when cooking. By following those tips, you can reduce your sodium intake. Reading a nutrition facts label on food packaging, you may come across various terms related to sodium content. Sodium, which is the term refers to the actual amount of sodium present in the food per serving, measured in milligrams. The percent daily value tells you how much a nutrient in one serving of the food contributes to a daily diet. For sodium, the DV is typically based on a daily intake of 2,300 milligrams, which is the recommended daily limit for most adults. Although, as we talked about, the American Heart Association guidelines recommend a lower limit of 1,500 milligrams for certain populations, such as those with hypertension, African Americans, and individuals over 50 years old. Low sodium as a product that means it contains 140 milligrams or less of sodium per serving. Reduced sodium indicates that the product contains at least 25% less sodium per serving compared to a standard version of the food. Unsalted or no added salt means that no additional salt has been added during processing, but the food may still contain naturally occurring sodium. Oftentimes you'll see this with your canned goods, like canned green beans. Lightly salted is a term that indicates that the product has less added salt compared to the regular version, but it may not necessarily be low in sodium. A salt-free label means the product contains less than 5 milligrams of sodium per serving. And no salt added means that no salt has been added during processing, but the food may contain naturally occurring sodium. It's important to read and understand the nutrition facts label to be aware of the sodium content in the foods you consume, as excessive sodium intake can contribute to high blood pressure and other health issues. Maintaining a balanced diet and being mindful of sodium intake can help promote overall health and well-being. Major functions of sodium in the human body include fluid balance. Sodium plays a crucial role in maintaining the balance of fluids both inside and outside the body's cells. It helps regulate the amount of water in tissues and blood vessels, contributing to overall hydration and blood volume. Sodium is essential for generating and transmitting nerve impulses throughout the nervous system. These electrical signals are crucial for various processes, including muscle contractions and sensory perception. Sodium is involved in the process of muscle contraction, working in conjunction with potassium. When a nerve signal reaches a muscle cell, sodium channels open, allowing sodium ions to enter the cell, which triggers the muscle to contract. Sodium also plays a role in maintaining the body's acid-base balance, or pH level, alongside other electrolytes like bicarbonate and chloride. Proper pH balance is essential for the optimal functioning of enzymes and biochemical reactions. Sodium levels influence blood pressure by affecting the volume of blood and fluid in the bloodstream. High sodium intake can lead to increased water retention and elevated blood pressure in some individuals. Sodium helps transport various nutrients such as glucose and amino acids across cell membranes, ensuring these essential substances reach where they are needed for proper cellular function. It's important to note that while sodium is necessary for these functions, excessive sodium intake can lead to health issues such as hypertension and increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Therefore, it's essential to consume sodium in moderation and balance it with other electrolytes, especially potassium, for optimal health. Deficiency or hyponatremia and excess hypernatremia can both have significant impacts on the body and health. Here's an overview of each of the conditions. Sodium deficiency or hyponatremia occurs when the sodium levels in the blood drop below the normal range, typically below 135 milliequivalents per liter. It can result from various factors, including excessive sweating, certain medications, kidney problems, hormonal imbalances, and conditions that cause fluid retention. Here are some of the symptoms and potential consequences of sodium deficiency. Symptoms of hyponatremia are fatigue and weakness, headache, nausea and vomiting, confusion and irritability, muscle cramps or spasms, seizures in severe cases. Severe or rapid onset of hyponatremia can be life-threatening and leading to brain swelling and neurological issues. Again, it's essential to seek immediate medical attention if you suspect hyponatremia, especially if symptoms are severe or if it occurs suddenly. Sodium excess hypernatremia occurs when the sodium levels in the blood rise above the normal range, usually above 145 milliequivalents per liter. It is often a result of insufficient water intake or increased sodium intake without sufficient water to balance it out. Certain medical conditions, such as diabetes insipidus or kidney problems, can also lead to hypernatremia. Here are some of the symptoms and potential consequences of sodium excess. Excessive thirst, dry, sticky mouth, restlessness or agitation, rapid heart rate, muscle weakness or twitching. Severe hypernatremia can lead to dehydration, brain shrinkage, seizures, coma, and even death. If you suspect these symptoms or experience these symptoms, it's crucial to seek medical attention promptly. Both sodium deficiency and excess can be serious medical conditions. Maintaining a balanced diet and proper hydration is essential for preventing electrolyte imbalances. It's important to be mindful of your sodium intake, especially if you have certain health conditions, and to follow advice regarding sodium consumption and fluid intake. If you experience any concerning symptoms or suspect an electrolyte imbalance, seek medical evaluation and treatment. Sodium is something that is critical to life, and the body has a very effective regulatory feedback system to maintain long-term control of sodium and water balance. A hypothalamic control of aldosterone release from the adrenal gland and that aldosterone stimulates kidneys to reabsorb sodium. And so an increase in aldosterone with low blood osmolality will cause low sodium levels, and a decrease in aldosterone will with high blood osmolality or high sodium levels. So short-term deficiencies may impair exercise performance. It is something you want to be aware of, and make sure that you are hydrating properly and possibly supplementing with a supplement that has sodium in it. Gatorade is one of those sources. Chloride is an essential electrolyte in the human body and plays a crucial role in various physiological functions. The recommended dietary intake, or RDI, for chloride is not given as a specific value, but it is generally considered to be met through the consumption of a balanced diet. The RDI for chloride is usually not provided separately because it is closely related to the intake of sodium, and most people typically get an adequate amount of chloride from their regular dietary intake. The adequate intake for sodium, which is closely linked to chloride, is set at 2,300 milligrams per day for adults. For certain populations, such as older adults and individuals with certain health conditions like hypertension, the AI for sodium is lowered to 1,500 milligrams per day. Since chloride is commonly consumed along with sodium in the form of sodium chloride or table salt, most people do not need to worry about meeting their chloride requirements independently. However, it is essential to be mindful of overall sodium intake, as excessive sodium consumption can contribute to health issues like high blood pressure and cardiovascular problems. As nutrition guidelines and recommendations may evolve over time, I recommend consulting up-to-date dietary guidelines or a registered dietitian for the most current information regarding chloride and other nutrient intakes. They can provide personalized advice based on individual dietary needs and health conditions. Chloride is found in a variety of foods, especially those that contain sodium. It is commonly consumed in the form of sodium chloride or table salt. Here are some foods that are rich in sodium. Table salt. The most common source of chloride in the diet is table salt, sodium chloride. It's used to season and enhance the flavor of many dishes. Processed foods and packaged foods contain added salts, contributing to chloride intake. This includes snacks, canned foods, frozen meals, and condiments. Seafood such as fish and shellfish can be a great source of chloride. And dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt contain chloride, among other essential nutrients. Some vegetables naturally contain chloride. Examples include tomatoes, celery, olives, and seaweed. Meat and poultry, such as chicken, beef, and pork, provide chloride in the diet. And some whole grains, such as quinoa and brown rice, contain small amounts of chloride. Beans, lentils, and peas are sources of chloride. It's important to note that while chloride is an essential nutrient, primary dietary concern is often the excessive consumption of sodium in the form of sodium chloride. High sodium intake can, again, lead to health issues like hypertension and cardiovascular disease. So really important to be mindful of overall sodium intake and aim for a balanced diet that includes a variety of nutrient-rich foods. And again, if you have specific dietary concerns or health conditions related to sodium or chloride intake, you want to make sure to consult with your healthcare professional or registered dietitian, and just be aware. Major functions of chloride. Of course, chloride, along with sodium, helps maintain the balance of fluids both inside and outside the cells. This balance is vital for proper hydration and normal functioning of bodily tissues and organs. Chloride is an important component of the body's acid-base balance. It combines with hydrogen ions in the stomach to form hydrochloric acid, which aids in the digestion of food and activates enzymes. Chloride is involved in transmitting nerve impulses throughout the nervous system. It helps maintain the electrical potential across cell membranes, which is essential for nerve signaling. As part of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, chloride helps create an acidic environment necessary for the breakdown of food and the activation of digestive enzymes. Symptoms of chloride deficiency or hypochloremia is usually caused by an overall electrolyte imbalance, often related to conditions such as prolonged vomiting, diarrhea, or certain kidney disorders. Symptoms of chloride deficiency may include muscle cramps or twitching, weakness and fatigue, dehydration, increased breathing rate, alkalosis, a condition when the body becomes too alkaline, and symptoms of chloride excess or hyperchloremia. Chloride excess is less common and is typically associated with dehydration or an imbalance in the other electrolytes. Symptoms of chloride excess may include excessive thirst, dry mouth, high blood pressure, metabolic acidosis, which is a condition when the body becomes too acidic. It's important to note that chloride imbalances are often linked to other electrolyte imbalances, such as those involving sodium and potassium. These imbalances can have serious consequences on various bodily functions and should be promptly addressed through proper medical evaluation and treatment. Again, maintaining a balanced diet and adequate hydration are essential for preventing electrolyte imbalances, including chloride imbalances. And if you suspect any electrolyte-related issues or experience concerning symptoms, it's crucial to seek medical attention for appropriate diagnosis and management. Potassium is an essential mineral and electrolyte found in various foods that plays a vital role in maintaining overall health and proper bodily functions. The dietary reference intake, or DRI, for potassium is as follows. For adults or for those ages 14 and older, the ADI for potassium is set at 2,600 to 4,700 milligrams per day, depending on sex and life stage. For pregnant individuals, the AI for potassium during pregnancy is 2,900 milligrams per day. For lactating individuals, the AI is 2,800 to 3,000 milligrams per day. It's important to note that potassium requirements may vary based on individual factors, including age, sex, life stage, activity level, and certain health conditions. Again, it's an important essential mineral and so important to make sure that we are getting it most of the time if we're eating a balanced diet. It's in the food sources that we eat. To meet potassium needs, it's beneficial to include potassium-rich foods in the diet, such as fruits, bananas, oranges, cantaloupe, avocados, and strawberries. Vegetables such as spinach, potatoes, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and broccoli. Legumes such as beans, lentils, and peas. And dairy, milk, and yogurt. Fish, it's in salmon and tuna, and nuts and seeds, pistachios, almonds, and sunflower seeds. While whole grains, it's brown rice, quinoa, and whole wheat bread. So maintaining a balanced diet that includes a variety of nutrient-rich foods can help ensure adequate potassium intake. Of course, if you have specific dietary concerns or health conditions related to potassium intake, it's best to consult with a registered dietitian or healthcare professional for personalized dietary guidance. And this just demonstrates foods that are high in potassium content. Eating a banana a day or even an apple can help you to get all that you need. Major functions of potassium. Potassium is crucial for maintaining the electrical activity of the heart. It helps regulate heart rhythm and ensures proper cardiac muscle contractions. Potassium is involved in transmitting nerve impulses throughout the nervous system. It helps support proper nerve function and communication between nerve cells. It's also essential for muscle function, including skeletal muscles and smooth muscles like the digestive system. Potassium, along with sodium, helps regulate fluid balance in and around cells. This balance is essential for maintaining proper hydration and preventing issues like swelling. Adequate potassium intake can help lower blood pressure by counteracting the effects of sodium. It promotes vasodilation, relaxing blood vessels and reducing tension in the arterial walls. A potassium deficiency or hypokalemia can occur due to inadequate dietary intake, excessive loss through sweating, vomiting, diarrhea, or certain medical conditions. Symptoms may include muscle weakness, cramps, irregular heartbeat, fatigue, and constipation. Potassium excess can result from consuming excessive potassium supplements, certain medications, kidney problems, or conditions that impair potassium excretion. Hyperkalemia can lead to muscle weakness, paralysis, irregular heartbeat, and in severe cases, cardiac arrest. It's essential, again, to maintain a balanced diet that includes sufficient potassium intake to support your overall health. And potassium balance is critical for maintaining proper cellular function and overall health. These two electrolytes play essential roles in various physiological processes and work in tandem to regulate fluid balance and nerve function. So sodium is that primary extracellular ion, meaning it is found outside the cells. It helps maintain the balance of fluids outside the cells, including in the blood and interstitial spaces. Proper sodium balance is crucial for regulating blood volume and blood pressure, while potassium, on the other hand, is the primary intercellular ion found inside the cells. It helps maintain the balance of fluids inside the cells, ensuring proper cellular function and preventing cell swelling or shrinkage. Sodium plays a key role in generating and transmitting nerve impulses. When a nerve cell receives a signal, sodium channels open, allowing that sodium ion to rush into the cell, creating an electrical impulse that travels along the nerve. While potassium is essential for restoring the resting membrane potential of nerve cells after an action potential or nerve impulse. After the nerve impulse passes, potassium channels open and potassium ions move out of the cell, restoring the cell to its resting state. Now, sodium in the muscle cells, including cardiac muscle, sodium helps initiate muscle contraction. The influx of sodium into the muscle cells triggers the release of calcium, which is necessary for muscle contraction to occur. And potassium is crucial for relaxing muscles after contraction. The efflux of potassium out of muscle cells allows the muscle to relax and return to its resting state. And blood pressure regulation, excess sodium intake can lead to increased fluid retention, raising blood volume and consequently blood pressure. Adequate potassium intake is associated with lowering blood pressure. The potassium helps counteract the effects of sodium and promotes vasodilation, which helps relax blood vessels and reduce blood pressure. Again, to maintain that balance, it's essential to consume a balanced diet that includes sufficient potassium-rich foods with moderating sodium intake from processed and high sodium foods. A healthy balance of these electrolytes contributes to overall cellular health, proper nerve and muscle function, and the regulation of blood pressure. This chart does a great job of summing up everything we've talked about thus far today about the major electrolytes, the adequate intake, major functions in the body, deficiency symptoms, and symptoms of excess consumption. And here are some key points. The recommended adequate intake for sodium is 1,500 milligrams. Recommended upper limit is 2,300 milligrams. So the daily value for sodium on food labels says 2,400 milligrams, which is an amount that is greater than the upper limit recommended. The percentage of the daily value for sodium listed on a food label should actually be 60% higher, given that the daily value is 60% greater than the adequate intake. Sodium and chloride perform vital functions such as generating electrical impulses for contraction of muscles, including the heart. And sodium is so important in the regulation of blood pressure. Potassium works with sodium and chloride in the regulation of blood pressure and normal neural functions, and it participates in other metabolic functions, such as storage of muscle glycogen. Sodium chloride and potassium concentrations in the body are precisely regulated. Deficiency or excesses are rare, but can and do occur without replacement of daily losses or excessive supplementation, respectively. Electrolyte deficiencies or excess may contribute to serious health problems. And that is all that I have for you today. We will be continuing this conversation in chapter 9. I look forward to talking with you again. Have a great day.